have in mind. Name a job, any job, and chances are the right tools will make a difference. Your makeup bag is no exception. In today's Style File, we're featuring 4 makeup brushes you don't own, but should. Studio 5 beauty contributor Megan Moore is here. Great to see you.
Thank you.
So you say it's no longer just the product aisles of the makeup store that are overwhelming women. It's the brush aisle, the tool aisle now is too.
For sure. I feel like there used to be just a handful of options, and now the sky's the limit, right? You can go into any beauty aisle and there's so many brushes and there's so many buzzwords. It's really hard to know what do I need? What is this gonna do? So I'm gonna give you some basics so you feel like you understand what those buzzwords are talking about, and that way you'll be more armed with everything you need to buy the right brushes.
Yes, no matter what you're purchasing. You will recommend in just a minute 4 brushes that you say most women don't have, but they should own. First, so let's define 2 key factors you say to go into picking a great brush, and the first is density.
Yes, so density is basically how many bristles are kind of crammed into the head of the brush, right? Okay. A more dense brush is gonna feel more firm. It's not gonna move around as much. The bristles don't have as much movement. It has less drag. So those ones are really great for kind of tapping or buffing, kind of pressing in, because the bristles are kind of almost like, I like to think of those ones like a stamp, where we're kind of able to stamp with the brush, and the bristles don't really bend, right? On the other side of that, a brush that has less density, that less bristles, they're gonna move, they're gonna sway, they're gonna blend, all of the things, so you can feel a difference in that, and that's going to blow product out, right? It's gonna diffuse and spread a lot more.
Okay, so some examples?
Yeah, so this is like a really great foundation brush. I love it. Now you can see that it is very dense. It hardly moves at all, right? Those bristles are firm, they're not moving, and they're gonna kind of be great for buffing or tapping product in, right? Because it's almost like I said, a stamp. Versus this one here, it's got a lot more flexibility to it. It's a lot softer. This one even more so. So look how much bend this one has because it's a lot less dense. So this is going to blur and blend much more than this one is.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so that's density.
Second criteria to look for, you say, is cut.
Yes, so the cut of the brush is literally just that. So they glue all those bristles in, and then a machine will cut it, and it's gonna cut it into a shape.
You give it a haircut.
You give it a haircut. So they're gonna cut it into a shape, and depending on the shape, you're gonna get totally different results, right? So some shapes that you might see could be flat, like we just saw, right? You could see domed, you could see round, you could see angled, you could see pointed, and so it's just all going to be different ways that the bristles are cut, and depending on that cut, you're gonna get different results. Okay. So like I said, this one is cut flat. Well, the pressure on this one is the same all the way across, right? So you're gonna get kind of even distribution of your product, whereas this one that's domed, it's cut in a dome, you're gonna have more concentration on the tip, and then everything around it, those edges are gonna blur and blend because they're cut further back.
That is great education, because we wanna reach for the tool that's going to do the job we want it to do.
Exactly, and if we're not using the right one, it can end up taking us a lot longer because we're just like, oh, this takes forever to blend, right? Or my color disappears. Well, are you using a brush that's designed to make it disappear? Then it will, right? Like, so a lot of times it's just the tool that's not giving you the results you want.
And it can be, you say, similar cut, but still have a totally different purpose.
Yes, so this is an example of 4 angled brushes, but these 2 up here, these are both an angled eyeshadow brush, right? But the density on these is so different. This one's pointy, it's hard, it's rigid. That's gonna give you a line, right? You're gonna draw a line and nothing's gonna happen. This one is much softer, right? The density is much less. So it's going to blur and blend. So if I was trying to do an eyeshadow look and I'm using 2 totally different brushes like this, this one's going to give me a line, this one's going to soften. Got it. Right? Okay. Makes sense.
To the 4 brushes now, you highly recommend every woman look into. We'll start with the term contouring, which has become more commonplace, right? Like it used to be kind of a dramatic trick, but now more and more women are using specifically placed lines on their face to create that definition. And there's a brush that can help us do that.
Yes, so this one is really cool. This one is one you can find on Amazon. It's a really great Amazon find brand, but you can see this one is really kind of wide and long. Let's see which camera I'm at here. And again, cut very flat with a sharp edge. So what's that gonna give us? It's gonna give us a line, right? So this is great to put underneath your cheekbones. I love to use this around my hairline or underneath my jaw because it's gonna give me a very defined kind of line, you can see there, and then I can blur it out a little bit, but I really want my color to stay put when I'm contouring. We don't want it to spread.
That girl's not messing around right there.
That's a big girl.
Born for business. All right, let's see, if creating eyeshadow symmetry is a struggle for you, getting both eyes to look even, you have a brush for that.
I love this one. This is an angled brush, so again, an angled brush, but again, this one has a lot less density, so it moves around. And the reason I love an angled brush for eyeshadow is because I'm gonna take it up so the camera can follow me. I can place this in the eyelid and it's like a stamp and it fits perfectly into the creases of my eye. Then when I take it to the other side, I don't have to figure out the angle anymore. It's just, it's already there, right? So now I have it on this side. It's exactly the same. So symmetry is so much easier because the brush just kind of only fits one way.
Yes.
So you can't really mess it up, right?
Eyeshadow for dummies. We need that. I need that anyway. You say a common mistake is that women will reach for these big, fluffy, feel soft and bunny-like on your face brushes to apply blush.
Yes.
And it ends up going everywhere.
Exactly. Blush is beautiful, but we do want to be able to control where it goes. And sometimes if we're reaching for a big brush that's probably better for maybe a setting powder that we do want to go everywhere, and people grab that for blush, it can end up going everywhere. So I love to recommend a brush for blush that is a lot smaller.
It's little.
It's little, but it has loose density, so it will spread, which is nice. We know that it's going to spread, and it also is a flat cut. But we can really control, especially if we're using a liquid blush that are more concentrated, we can really control where it goes.
You just blew my mind with that. That's the teeniest, tiniest blush brush I've ever
cute.
seen. I'll try it. And finally, quickly, we had a conversation not too long ago about face spackling, as we like to call it.
Yes.
You say if you're using a putty or kind of a more tactile product, this brush will be your friend.
Yes, so I like to call these spatula brushes because they're kind of flat like a spatula. They will scoop product out of a container really well. And then you can use the flat side of the brush to kind of press the product in, right? So underneath the eyes, you can press it into the pores. You can go around the nose. And so I just really like that kind of spatula effect that a lot of women may not be using for their concealer brushes.
To really sink it into the skin.
Exactly.
Megan, you're the best for all of the reasons. Will you link these brushes for us online?
Of course, they'll be on my blog, thebeautysnoop.com, and then come hang out with me on Instagram at BeautySnoop.
And super affordable, including that $5 Target love. All right, thank you so much.
You bet.